Lying on the Adriatic coast, Croatia has over 1,000 islands. We had arrived in Split on a cycling trip to the islands of the Dalmatian coast. Split itself, however, is like Croatia's version of the French Riviera. The Romanesque and Gothic architecture is breathtaking. And sculptures from Christianity are prolific. There are 2 ferries a day from Split to Korčula, and the price is cheap at only £5 per ticket with £5 extra per bike. So we're going to go to one of the furthest away islands, Korčula, first, and then it's about a 3-hour ferry ride with our bikes on the ferry. On the way we passed the islands of Brač and Hvar, which we would come back to later on the trip. Korčula is a very green forested island, which you can cycle across in a day. Korčula is only 46 kilometres long and about 8 kilometres wide. The main town on Korčula Island is Korčula town, which is very picturesque. From the east of Korčula Island, it is only a 2-kilometre crossing to the tip of a peninsula which sticks out from the mainland, called the Peljasac Peninsula. This is a long, thin peninsula, 68 kilometres long. The Peljasac Peninsula is full of vineyards. These are still divided into the old communist system with different owners every few hundred metres, which formed a cooperative. The history of Croatian wine dates back 2,500 years, and there are over 300 different geographically defined wine regions where many traditional grape varieties still survive. But because they are produced in such small quantities, it is difficult to get enough of each to export them. At the end of the Peljasac Peninsula, which joins the mainland, are the twin towns of Ston and Maliston. Maliston lies at the isthmus where the peninsula joins the mainland, and it is famed for its oyster beds. Oysters grow in brackish water, and a single oyster can filter up to 100 litres of water a day. And although they can be eaten in seconds, it takes 2 to 3 years to grow a single oyster. These are the bits of string that they hang from the beds out there. And to disentangle oysters, it looks like you need a stiff pair of marigolds. We're here in Ston in this fabulous seafood restaurant, and we're just waiting for our 10 oysters. You could actually see the oyster beds from our table in the restaurant.
Well, shall we start off? Lovely fresh oyster.
So I'm just going to go for this oyster here. Oysters are low calorie, but full of vitamins and minerals. I've just been dressed in this bib. I had ordered shrimp, but this is what came. I was a bit sad to learn, though, that oysters have no brain, and they have to be eaten alive. There are impressive old city walls which link Maliston to the twin town of Ston. You can walk along the top of these 14th century walls. which stretch for 5 kilometers and are like a mini version of the Great Wall of China. They were built to protect the salt pans in Ston, which used to be part of the wealth of Dubrovnik in the south of Croatia. Sea salt from the Adriatic is still produced using traditional methods without mechanization. Our next ferry would take us further southeast to the island of Millet. Millet is a very forested and sparsely inhabited island about 50 kilometers long. It is quite hilly and took us 3 hours to reach the western tip, which is a national park. It costs about £7 to enter the park, but this lasts 2 days, and you can stay at a place called Pomena. Legend has it that the Greek god Odysseus holed up on the island of Millet with the nymph Calypso, and you can even visit Odysseus's cave. We just spent 1 night on Millet though, and had a lovely stew in this restaurant, directly overlooking the sunset. The next day we got a ferry back to the Peljasac Peninsula and cycled 60 kilometers up to the ferry port at Trepannge. This time we took a quiet road up the south coast of the peninsula, where I saw vineyards on 45-degree slopes, which I've never seen anywhere before. A short tunnel then took this road across the island over to the ferry port at Trepannge. The third island we visited was one of the biggest ones, called Hvar. Hvar is known as the party island of the Dalmatian coast, although it has some great cycling too. Hvar town is a seafood lover's paradise and has a wonderful marina. It also has a great fort overlooking the town. Another couple of short ferry rides took us on to our second last island, which was Brac. All my dreams have just come true. The Croatians love their ice cream, which is called sladoled and is available everywhere. Although Brac is one of the closest islands to Split, it was also one of my favourites. The ferry arrives at Supetar, which is a lovely place to stay and has an unusual attraction. This is the cemetery in Supetar. This is the main part of the cemetery around here. Here's a grave with 2 people's names on, and it looks like they've not died yet. This is another one that looks like 2 people haven't died yet. The cemetery lies on the coast, and the white marble and limestone graves are really quite beautiful. Having just walked around the cemetery, I can see now why people are reserving the space. The next day we cycled south around the island of Brac to the town of Bol on the south coast. Bol has a famous white beach which sticks out like a big spit of sand into the sea, and is also pretty good for nightlife. Same old empty feeling in your heart. This love comes slow and it goes so fast. We had 1 island left, our 5th, a very small one, not far from Split. Salta is a small, relaxing island, little visited, with just a few places to stay. Back in Split, it was time for more sladoled, and this ice cream is cheesecake and fig.